So where do we go from here? Where would we go after we qualify the prospects? Well, what we do is we manage the pipeline. And I just want to make a brief stop here. A lead and an opportunity are not the same thing. A lead or a prospect is anybody more or less interested in buying your product. Those that are very interested in buying your product and are fully qualified and they have a budget and they have a timeline for decision and you have all the necessary information and you know who makes the decision and you understand their decision-making process, those should be opportunities. The rest should stay leads and you can continue to communicate with these customers through your different campaigns. But once it is an opportunity, there is a different level of attention that you need to give this deal. So rule number one is you have to review everything in your pipeline. I don't necessarily tell my customers to review every single lead. Focus on the leads that are highly rated. But when it comes to opportunities, you need to know what is happening with all of them. So that as you can see here in illustration 1 in this slide, you can see how much money you have prospecting, how much money you have at needs analysis or discovery, how much money you have in the process of identifying the decision makers, how much money do you have on the value proposition, these are people actually putting the proposals or receiving the proposals, and how many are already in the negotiation stage. Why? Because your time to revenue will be directly proportionate to how those opportunities are progressing through the pipeline. Obviously, if you have not had a conversation with your teams to calibrate the definition of what each one of those stages mean, this may be a futile exercise. But if everybody in your team understands what it is to be prospecting, what it is to be doing discovery, what it is to be identifying the decision makers, what it is to have a proposal out there, and what it is to negotiate, you will start seeing dramatic improvements in your forecast. Number 2, when you look at your pipeline, review stage duration and aging. And I'm showing you here on illustration number 2, on the bottom of the slide, when you have a CRM, you'll know exactly how long a given opportunity has been in a given stage and how old the opportunity is overall. So if you know that a large deal normally takes you 3 months to close and your average opportunity negotiation stage is at 90 days, that is an immediate flag for you to know that there's something you need to do to make sure you haven't either lost this business or that you take the right measures to make sure you don't lose this business. So you want to make sure your eyes are on the stage duration and the aging. Rule number 3, make sure you're in it to win it. What does that mean? That means that once you're at an opportunity level, you need to make sure you're in it to win it. A lead you can nourish, you can nurture, you can develop, you can convert. When it's an opportunity, everything you're doing should be leading you to closing that deal. Rule number 4, use forecast categories. A lot of customers make the mistake of saying, oh, my forecast is everything that I have in negotiation. We know that that's not the case. There may be opportunities that are in negotiation stage that are not yet going to close. So by doing that, by setting a forecast category which says commit, that means that every time your sales rep tells you we're going to close this deal, you are 100% certain that you will close this deal. And although it's acceptable for you not to close a deal that's in pipeline, it is not acceptable for you not to close a deal that is in committed stage. So now what you're really doing is you're driving a different level of accountability at each one of the layers of your forecasting categories. And rule number 5 is make sure the stars are aligned. What does that mean? That means that my stage and my forecast category and my closing dates are making sense. Because if I have it committed, but I'm still doing discovery, and I told you I'm going to close it today, you already know that is unlikely to happen. So again, this is another flag that will be raised. I'm going to move on to embedding processes and strategy in the CRM because we're running out of time. And I want to make sure we cover all the material. Again, you are welcome to stay with us and ask as many questions as you'd like. So everybody will have an opportunity to expand further. Embedding processing strategy into a CRM is a simple notion that everything that you are doing should be done in the CRM. If you end up implementing a CRM, but you're still doing stuff in Excel, and you're still doing reports in Word, and you're still doing your quotes in another system, you're not optimizing the productivity levels that you ought to be, because your CRM should already be doing this for you. So as far as leads, understand the product interest. What is it that this particular customer is interested in? Have that in your CRM so that you can do breakdowns by product of what the interest levels are. Qualification we already discussed. Make sure you're asking the right questions to score it. Web to lead. If somebody goes to your website, make sure you capture their information, because a good CRM will convert that information into a lead without any manual intervention. The biggest problem that companies have is that people call in because they're interested, but that lead gets lost in the shuffle. By having web to lead, you eliminate that problem. And have auto replies. If you have web to lead, there should be an auto reply to the customer saying, hey, thank you for your interest in my company. John Doe will be calling you within 24 hours to better understand your needs. Make sure that is happening so the customer knows that you care about that business. And sometimes your salespeople cannot reply immediately. But when you have an auto reply system in your CRM, you don't have to worry about that. Opportunities. Make sure your solution requirements, the business needs, any red flags that could prevent you from closing that deal, and the elemental or the basic success factors that you need to know to win, they should all be in your CRM. So just because your CRM out of the box does not have some of these things, it does not mean that you cannot configure it. And what we propose is that you make sure you do that. Discounts and approvals. It really takes a lot of time for salespeople to be chasing after, a 5%, 7%, 10% discount. A great CRM will do that for you. You request a level of discount, it will generate a workflow. The person with the right level of authority gets a request that they need to approve it. They approve it, and your system has an audit trail. Again, driving productivity. Your quotes, your CRM should be able to take all the opportunity products and convert that into a quote automatically without having to go to another system. So this makes sure that you have everything in one place. And this, again, is another productivity driver. Contacts and accounts. Most people will have the primary contact name, they'll have the address, and they'll have all the information they need for billing the customer. But what about those things that are going to drive that superior customer experience? How about their birthdays? How about their hobbies? How about the organizational charts of how those companies make their decisions? These are the things that are going to make a difference in the level of experience that you deliver to each customer. Your workflows. Make sure that everything that can be automated, if you require that before a proposal is sent to a customer, a checklist is filled out, you can have your workflow in your CRM do that for you. So again, it is not only driving productivity, it is also driving compliance. Contracts. Make sure every time you close a deal that has an expiration date, there has to be a contract management system. Most CRMs have that. So you get a reminder that tells John Doe, hey John, this contract expires in 90 days. Now they know they need to go and resell that product to that customer. And realignment. Your first implementation of a CRM is not your last. In other words, you'll have the tool configured to your needs, but your needs will change. And as they change, so do your best practices. So you want to make sure you're keeping your CRM as relevant as possible to your users, because at the end, it all begins with the adoption. How many people are bought into it? How many people have the skills and the disciplines? So you want to make sure that you maintain it up to date. That closes the presentation for today. It was